Unveiling Silk Typhoon, China's covert cyber warfare tools. In a shocking revelation, recent investigations have uncovered a web of sophisticated offensive tools and tight links between the notorious China-backed threat group Silk Typhoon, also known as Hafnium, and various companies with ties to the Chinese government. These findings shed light on the role of China's contracting ecosystem in the global threat landscape, as detailed in a report by Sentinel Labs. The report, based on an indictment released by the Department of Justice, DOJ, outlines the work of two hackers, Zewei and Zhang, who allegedly worked for two firms on behalf of China's Ministry of State Security, MSS. The pair are believed to be part of Silk Typhoon, a notorious Chinese threat actor. The indictment reveals more than 10 patents for highly intrusive forensics and data collection technologies registered by companies working for Silk Typhoon, which have not been previously identified as tools of the threat actor. These technologies offer unreported offensive capabilities, from acquisition of encrypted endpoint data to mobile forensics and data collection from network devices. The revelations highlight a gap in typical threat attribution that tends to identify named threat actors rather than the companies for which they are employed. This is a crucial aspect that should not be overlooked when investigating attacks, as observed by Dakota Carey, China-focused consultant at Sentinel One and a non-resident fellow at the Atlantic Council's Global China Hub at Sentinel Labs. Silk Typhoon Hafnium is a notorious threat group that security researchers have been tracking for years. It was most recently associated with a breach of the U.S. Treasury Department, but also has been tied to attacks on organizations in multiple sectors. In 2021, the group also garnered considerable attention for exploiting 4 zero-day vulnerabilities in Microsoft Exchange Server, including one now infamously known as Proxy Logon, to compromise email servers in targeted strikes. The indictment revealed that China's contracting ecosystem forces many companies and individuals to collaborate on intrusions, which means many China-based advanced persistent threats, APTs, like Silk Typhoon, may contain many different companies with many different clients. This diverse private sector offensive ecosystem supports a wide array of intrusion capabilities, making it difficult to map observed tooling back to a cluster. What all this means for threat intelligence is that researchers should begin to shift their thinking away from tracking clusters of behavior and tracking it back to APTs or other groups, and digging deeper into the organizations employing the individual members of their groups and their capabilities. This could lead them to find already uncovered links behind various threat groups and actors that are tied by offensive tooling provided by those organizations, which could lead to more successful threat hunting outcomes. But here's where it gets controversial. What if the companies providing these offensive tools are not just supporting China's state-sponsored hacking efforts, but also those of other nations or even non-state actors? This raises questions about the role of private companies in the global cyber threat landscape and the need for greater transparency and accountability in the cybersecurity industry. What are your thoughts on this issue? Let us know in the comments below. Silk Typhoon patents reveal China's advanced offensive hacking tech. Full breakdown. In a world where cyber warfare is becoming as critical as physical battles, new evidence has emerged that sheds light on how one country is quietly advancing its offensive hacking capabilities. The revelations come from an unexpected source. Patents filed by a Chinese company with alleged ties to Beijing's Silk Typhoon campaign, a name that has sent ripples through the cybersecurity community. But here's where it gets intriguing. These aren't just any patents. They detail cutting-edge technologies designed for offensive cybersecurity operations. According to researchers at Sentinel One, over 10 such patents have been uncovered, all linked to Shanghai Firetech, a company accused of working hand-in-hand with China's intelligence apparatus, specifically the Shanghai State Security Bureau, SSSB. This discovery adds another layer to what we know about state-sponsored hacking efforts and raises questions about the true extent of these programs. To understand why this matters, let's break it down. Imagine tools so advanced that they can infiltrate smart homes, monitor personal devices, and even extract encrypted data without leaving a trace. That's exactly what some of the patented technologies seem capable of doing. For instance, Shanghai Firetech has filed patents for systems like an intelligent home appliances analysis platform and long-range household computer network intelligentized control software. These tools could potentially allow actors to spy on individuals remotely, whether those individuals are in their own homes or halfway across the globe. And this is the part most people miss. While intelligence agencies like the CIA are known to use similar surveillance tools, the scale and sophistication of Shanghai Firetech's portfolio suggests something far more expansive. Among the patents identified were technologies for remote evidence collection, targeting routers, and compromising Apple devices, capabilities not previously associated with groups like Hafnium, which gained notoriety during the proxy logon exploit in 2021. Speaking of Hafnium, you might remember them as the group behind the massive breach that exploited Microsoft Exchange servers, affecting thousands of organizations worldwide. At the time, experts believed they had a clear picture of Hafnium's modus operandi. However, the latest findings indicate there may be much more under the surface. Dakota Carey, a senior analyst at Sentinel Labs, explained that the newly discovered patents point to offensive missions beyond anything tied to Hafnium's known activities. The variety of tools under the control of Shanghai Firetech exceeds those publicly attributed to Hafnium and Silk Typhoon, he noted. This brings us to a controversial question. If these tools exist but haven't been deployed yet, does that mean we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg? Or could they already be in use, hidden beneath layers of misattribution? Researchers admit it's possible that none of the uncovered tooling has ever been used offensively. But given the stakes, can we afford to take that chance? Adding fuel to the fire, recent indictments by the U.S. Department of Justice highlight the human element behind these cyber campaigns. Two prominent hackers, Zewei and Zhang, stand accused of collaborating closely with China's Ministry of State Security, MSS, including its Shanghai branch. These individuals allegedly played key roles in attacks targeting institutions researching COVID-19 vaccines, stealing sensitive information that could impact global health efforts. Emails obtained by the DOJ show Su directly communicating with the Shanghai Security Bureau, confirming his access to confidential data. The challenge now lies in attribution, a task made increasingly difficult as nations like China adapt their strategies to avoid direct blame. Cybersecurity firms and law enforcement agencies face a daunting puzzle. How do you connect the dots when the actors involved deliberately obscure their tracks? As the researchers put it, the findings underline the difficulty in successfully attributing intrusions to the organizations responsible for them. So, what does this mean for the future of cybersecurity? Are we entering an era where private companies serve as proxies for nation-states, developing tools that blur the line between defense and offense? And should governments impose stricter regulations on patent filings related to offensive technologies? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think these discoveries warrant immediate action, or are they simply part of the evolving landscape of cyber warfare? Leave a comment below and join the conversation.